Des Oliver, composer of orchestral, chamber and solo repertoire, music for stage, and a filmmaker, apparently. I think the music I write tends to really reflect the music that I was exposed to growing up. So Motown, funk, soul, hip hop, electro, house music, regularly interspersed with Tchaikovsky, Stravinsky, Haydn, Bartók, Debussy, Messiaen. And so I am something of a kleptomaniac as a composer. My music, in the sense that my music tends to be a sort of kaleidoscope of all of those elements. And so although I hate the term, I do endeavour to create some quite sort of immersive landscapes. I grew up in Bedfordshire, and I came to classical music, I think, sort of quite late. I started playing the trumpet at sort of 14, and within about 3 years or so, I got to grade 8. And my first performing experiences were in a choir. And then, a little bit later, I ended up playing in sort of youth orchestras and concert bands and brass bands and singing in youth opera. It's funny, singing, in those choirs, my very first sort of interaction with performing music, I had, a profound, transformative experience singing in those school choirs. And I knew at that point I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to immerse myself in that sort of magical experience as often as possible. It's not always about fusing of cultural musical traditions, but that sort of Heston Blumenthal practice of combining ingredients which at first seem quite different, and being faced with the challenge of sort of finding ways to get them to complement each other. I think the thing that I do enjoy about having a piece performed is the rehearsals, actually, is working with other musicians who are as passionate about their discipline as I am about mine, but in a completely different way.
Nearly there. This should be right now. The same thing. It's just an crescendo here.
And I think that serves me, the composer, in a number of ways. I think this is particularly the case if you're working with a sort of smaller ensemble. Can be really inspiring, either in terms of providing like a sort of renewed incentive to sort of carry on with the piece, assuming that it's a work in progress, or that you take that inspiration, what you've gained from that amazing interaction, and carry that over into the next piece.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, whatever is so difficult. This is just ridiculous, actually.
Or just that?
Just that. Just that. The rest is fine. But I know that.
Because I think composing can be a very isolating activity, and so performances are sort of essential to the composer's own well-being, because it motivates them to sort of get out into the world and interact with other human beings. And this is sort of one of the many reasons why I wanted to, one of the many benefits of making a documentary, because you really do have the excuse to engage with other composers on a creative project in the same way that you would do with performers.
No, yes. Yeah. Yeah?
Yes.
I think one of the things that interests me is drawing from outside of classical music. So drawing from whether it's the African diaspora or popular music forms, or traditions outside of sort of Western classical music, and bringing that in and making a musical cocktail. And I think that probably comes from thinking of myself as a sort of a bit of a cultural Sex on the Beach or Mojito, and so I think I'm sort of at my most authentic when I'm able to do that. I often sort of describe it as like putting things together that don't necessarily belong together, and I think sort of even as I say that, reflecting on my own cultural identity, that's a sort of somewhat unfortunate choice of words, but I do think that when you are of dual heritage, certainly I feel as if I'm sort of like an embodiment of all of those things, and so I'm sort of keen that is reflected in some of the music that I write. I also think it's sort of more about, tapping into that kind of childlike mindset. As a kid, I used to cut out pictures of, people, of models from, my mum's catalogue, and sort of make them interact with, characters from magazines or comic books or, characters that I'd drawn, and I'd sort of stick them all together on a page and create these kind of sort of collages, and I don't think I've stopped doing that.